things are really heating up for Mark Carney, Mr. Prime Minister Carney, as the election nears and the meetings continue with the premiers. Before that, Danielle Smith of Alberta has made some high and mighty claims that she is ready to bring Alberta to a position that might threaten the national unity of Canada. And this comes on the back of comments and meetings between Mark Carney and his cabinet, as well as Danielle Smith. Carney and Smith met yesterday on the 20th, I believe, about the potential, working relationship between Ottawa and Alberta. And she made some demands, as she calls it, about Alberta's oil sector. And we have to be well aware that Alberta has been treated unfairly under Justin Trudeau's government, the previous Liberal cabinet, and there are some major grievances between the Liberals and Alberta, as well as um, to a lesser effect, Saskatchewan. Those two western provinces have seen many, many confrontations with the government, and these recent this recent escalation has seen after a meeting with Mark Carney and Mrs. Smith of Alberta, where Carney had promised Smith face to face that he is going to remove the what you call carbon emissions cap to Mrs. Smith in front of her. But just a couple hours later, we have his Environment Minister, Mark Carney's Environment Minister, a Liberal cabinet member and member of Parliament. I do not have his name at the moment, but he is the Environmental Minister. He said that no, we are not going to remove the carbon emissions cap. And now, according to the CBC article here, Mark Carney says there will be a carbon emissions cap. I repeat, the carbon emissions cap will remain despite the meeting Alberta's Danielle Smith and Carney had. And on the back of this, Smith went on Twitter and she made some very, very strong points and potentially uh, nationwide uh, shaking comments that it is very, very strong that I have to tell you. She went on Twitter and she basically said if her demands are not met, then Alberta could hold a referendum in some form and there would be a national unity crisis. She hasn't specified what the referendum might be on, but she said she would consult the public on what it might be if the demands about oil and the oil sector and other areas are not met. Now, is it justified? I'd have to say so, yes. But is it the appropriate time to be making such comments? I don't think so. We're very, very, in a potentially contentious area with the United States, and shows of weakness between provinces and the federal government, though they might be very legitimate, can be detrimental to our main threat right now, which is the United States. However, leaving out the United States for a second, there are many systemic um, issues from not only Alberta's side, but many provinces and many areas of the federal jurisdiction that are pressing and have been pressing for years on years now. And though the Trump issue is the main focus, these issues that have been before Trump, have been there before him, are going to be there after him. And they are indeed being overlooked right now, but they are very, very important. That one issue might, of course, is the Alberta oil economy, but we also have issues relating to investments in Canadian economy, into the Canadian private sector. We have businesses fleeing Canada before Trump. We have businesses now fleeing Canada even more under Trump. And now we have investment flying away, not only this year, but the past decade. We've lost almost, I think, $500 billion in potential investments, potentially even more, but lots of capital flight has taken place. The uh, security situation, public safety situation in Canada has also been detrimental. If we look at this release, news release by the Manitoba government, federal provincial government, which I might remind you is NDP, New Democratic Party. They have a very, I think, solid premier. But this is what the premier's office in Manitoba released, calling on the Mark Carney government to, s- strengthen the bail reforms that need to be taken place and that many Canadians are calling for. Now, we might forget this is one issue that has been prevalent in the past couple of months and the years, but it doesn't go away just magically because we're focusing on Trump. There are other issues that exist, such as this bail reform issue that is now still active and alive, which must be met with full vigor if we want to see that, change actually happen in this country systemically. If we want to see that this country doesn't devolve further into, chaos in its economy and its safety and its people, there are issues that are going to be touchy that need to be solved. And though I don't feel that Daniel Smith's comments were very appropriate in terms of its, fieriness, I do believe they are justified in its context. Moving from this issue here to that issue of oil, the pipelines have not been built. There isn't even a pipeline or an expanded capacity pipeline that runs to British Columbia that's still being built. Trudeau's government bought one pipeline to see that it would happen, and it's been very slow. The project has not been going the way it should be. Keystone Pipeline XL, which has been in the news for almost 15 years, was canceled under Obama, brought back in by Trump, and then canceled by Joe Biden. Obama only canceled the Keystone XL pipeline the day after Justin Trudeau got into office. Why? Because he knows Justin Trudeau would have been very open to canceling that pipeline with no pushback. If it was Stephen Harper in office, which it was for those years before when it was approved under Obama, it would have continued and it would have probably been in the process of being built right now. But because Trudeau's government has been so anti-oil, anti-gas, and natural resources, um, it has not. It just Obama just said, well, "Who cares? Whatever, cut it out." Trump brought it back in. Then Biden said, "Weak liberal leader in Canada. Who cares? I can get a win with the environmentalists if I take this out." And Trudeau's government said, "Sure thing. We're right on board with you." And this speaks to a larger problem in the Canadian political spectrum and public policy areas, is that we like to talk the big talk, but we don't make the smart decisions. And a part of the reason why we're facing off with Trump in the United States right now is not only because he's a madman, but because there is inherent weakness in our economy. There has been inherent weakness, and these natural resource issues that are showing up now, they had been exasperated by Justin Trudeau's actions in the past 9 to 10 years. And only because of his actions and because of his weak leadership are they present now as such a large factor in this trade war with Trump. So, this premiers meeting, we saw the other premiers talking about national unity. It's important, but we cannot forget the issues that were at hand that were present before this whole Trump fiasco. And that includes Mrs. Smith's concerns with Alberta oil economy, which are real, which are must be addressed because it is our main resource that we have to see be developed properly. But it's a matter of pacing yourself, I would say, for Alberta to be more cordial in how you approach these issues at this time. Another point I would like to add is that it will be very difficult for Mark Carney and his liberal cabinet to deal with the situations after the election if they are elected into office. The Alberta, the Saskatchewanian peoples um, Albertans, they are going to be hostile to a liberal government, no matter who's the prime minister. Because who do you have in the back that's running the actual show? It's these same cabinet ministers, same people who have always been there and the ones who caused the problems in the first place. How do you expect that just because Mark Carney is in office now, the issues are not going to be solved at hand? You don't think there's going to be pushback from the same liberals that didn't want to take out Justin Trudeau out of office? Do you think they're going to be so easy to just give up on their so-called accomplishments of the last 10 years? I don't think so. I think there will be massive pushback. That's why that climate, what's his name? Climate, I think extremist, what's Stephen Jabalt? Um, he was pushed out of the environmental ministry because he is a very, very strong-headed individual when it comes to green extremism. But why wasn't he kicked out of cabinet? What's that all about? Well, yeah, he might be from Quebec. He might want Mark Carney might have wanted to put him into the Quebec seat as his lieutenant there. But is that actually the best decision you could have made when you have so many other Quebec ministers there? You could have put anyone else, Quebec's MPs there. You could have put anyone else in that position. Why did you have to put Stephen Gibault? Because he represents a left wing side of the party that is still ever present and ever strong. Mark Carney has to appease that wing in order to see that his power and his grip on the prime ministership within his own party is secure, because those individuals, those people on the far left in the Liberal Party will definitely push back against this sort of what some called it bootleg conservatism in the Liberal Party under Mark Carney. Because what we see now also is that a lot of the decisions being made by Mark Carney were proposed by the conservative party and the opposition many months before.